Hey everyone, welcome to this after church tea time. We're very happy to have you here. I'm Yurine, a community member of the Church of Union, and I'm your host for today. I'm gonna ask my two team members to introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hello, I am Granville.
And today we are gonna talk about the Sunday service and the sermon surrounding the topic of what is stopping you from experiencing heaven now. It was a really good sermon, really rich service in general. I think we have a lot to unpack, so I'm gonna ask you guys, what are your optics about the sermon? And also, I'm going to ask everyone who's joining us in the chat to, feel free to share your insights with us as well. We'd love to have the discussion about what was said today. So yeah, go ahead, guys.
Well, one of the things that really spoke to me was this importance of saying no to the fear. And really when Brianne spoke about how living a foundation based on fear in the past and not realizing it, recognizing it, I very much resonate with that. And I'm starting to see all of the places where I have moved from fear, thinking that I was moving from love, not recognizing where I was trying to control fear in the name of love without really facing and addressing it. And that's one of the things that I'm really made an impression on me, is that recognizing that fear, acknowledging it, and just saying no. Like, oh, nope, that's fear. Let me move through that, instead of trying to turn it into something else in order to avoid it. Yeah, that's one of the big takeaways for me. And in that, recognizing, well, what brought on the fear? What is it that's presenting that's fearful? And looking at myself and okay, what is this in myself? What do I feel? What is, and I feel like that's acknowledging what you're feeling, and facing your feelings, embracing your feelings, especially, for a very long time, when I would feel feelings of love, I would initially, instantly go into fear. Oh, there's love here. What? And that would bring up the fear. And that's where I would run away from it, run away from that fear, but at the same time, running away from love too. And it's breaking that association that's really helping me learn how to say no to fear. And that fear is not love. Love is not scary. They're not the same thing. That's a big takeaway for me.
Yeah, I like what you shared. I think the one thing that really stood out for me as well was just that energy of using fear as a motivator. And again, I have to agree with you and with Brianne in terms of not really realizing that it is that way until you start to literally shine the light in those corners and start dusting off the cobwebs. And sometimes sometimes you find things that you really don't like and you've been avoiding, and sometimes you find some things that you really do like and have also been avoiding. And when I feel into it, like the energy of being motivated by fear has been that energy of exhaustion. Pouring a lot of work into something because of a fear of failure, as opposed to doing the work because you're motivated to do well and to succeed and to show the value that you're bringing in that piece of work, as opposed to avoiding being punished or that kind of thing, and things falling apart. Like, and that's kind of been the energy for me of like moving past that stuff in terms of where does the motivation actually sit and what is actually motivating me. And sometimes I do find myself not wanting to do something. And then, you know, there's that thing about, well, you should be doing something. And I always have to ask myself, well, who said that? Like, who actually said that? You know? So yeah, it has been a journey of just kind of moving past being motivated by the wrong energy. And in this sense, I think that the energy was a motivation based on fear, and possibly a fear of failure. And so it's kind of been, you know, it's been a journey of discovery in getting to the root of where's my motivation? How am I diligent in this space, but not at that space? What is motivating me in this space, but not that space? So, you know, it's like unpacking the stuff and, you know, like looking deep into that bag and unpacking it and not being afraid of what you find there. And sometimes what you find there is actually the better thing for you than the energy of the lie, as Adam and Brienne shared. You know, like it actually, at the end of the day, it just feels like a lie when you're motivated in a space of fear. Because again, you know, it's what they shared. God didn't create fear. So if God did not create it, why have, and I've asked myself this question, why have I allowed it to become a companion? What is the purpose of it?
I think many generations of humans can attest to being motivated by fear, and that's something that we're starting to break the cycle of. And you know, I think in this lifetime, it could have manifested when we were kids, by teachers or family members saying things like, you need to do this, because if you don't, this is going to happen. And so from, you know, from childhood, we have that conditioning of thinking about motivation and linking it to what is going to happen badly if we don't do that thing. And so, yeah, this is really, if you really stop and think about it, this is really exhausting, as you said, and kind of, you know, a weak way to try to live your life and accomplish things. But yeah, that's how many of us were brought up. And I loved that Adam said that it's just about like changing your mindset and shifting and having that choice, choosing to live from a place of love. And I think Life Purpose Class with Jeff Shaleia actually teaches us that very well throughout the course of like the 100 classes and such, because it starts with, what do you actually love? Like, what do you actually love to do? And it's really cool. You know, you make a list of what you desire to do, what you love. You start with that. And then it adds on, like, and being in this community is like a tremendous help with shifting into that vibration of love and actually claiming heaven. Because one day Shaleia would like post something and say like, you know, it's not about doing chores, it's about like, I deserve a clean house. It's about, I deserve to take care of myself. And then the other day, like, Jeff posting about, you know, the desires of God are your desires, so it's actually what you love. I'm paraphrasing, but it's a thing like that. And you're actually learning along the way what it is that you love and what is love exactly and how to live from that place. And it's such a beautiful discovery, so relaxing and light as well compared to the energy of fear. Um, and yeah, I find that amazing. And what was I going to say? Yeah, like just the process of releasing that um, is amazing. And it links to what Adam and Brian were saying about, like, you make that choice to live from a place of love, but then you have to take action to actually accomplish it and claim your heaven on earth. But it's not something that is hard. It's easy. And, being here makes it easy, for example.
Yeah, the other thing that I like what you shared around kind of living from a place of love. And the thing that kind of stood out for me in that same line when Adam and Brian said, allow love to be your teacher. And so, like when you when you shared the part about the childhood conditioning, I feel like some of this, the work that we're doing as we go on our path, is unlearning some of those things taught to us in fear or through negative consequences being attached to not doing something. And like in my childhood, I very clearly remember a lot of the time it was about, if you don't, you won't. That was always kind of the message. And, like when I feel back into it, it actually feels quite exhausting to have that conditional energy attached to things. And so, yeah, like the thing that constantly stands out for me is learning from love and allowing love to be the teacher, and then being teachable. Because and then I think that there's a big thing about actually being teachable. Mm-hmm. And it's something that we've learned over and over and over. Be teachable, be open to new information coming in that's probably a lot healthier than what we have been taught, and a much easier lesson to learn.
Absolutely. One of the things on this journey is that over and over and over, I keep having to relearn what love is, because in every step of the way, I experience the greatest love I've ever known. And then the next bit of healing happens and I experience an even greater love. And it's that progression that keeps happening that I feel speaks to being teachable. And to bring in fear, one of the things I know for me in my journey that have come up is using these past experiences of love to punish myself in the present. And that's what helps keep me from being open to being teachable by more love. And when I learn how to let that go, then I open up to more love. I open up to more possibilities. I open up to be able to see more of, where is God guiding me? What is God putting in front of me in the moment? What is God testing me with? What is God showing me that is the way for me? And it's that learning to discern that and feeling through any fear that comes up of everything that's presented to me, of being, oh my God, is this a test? Oh my God, am I going to fail this test? Oh my God, am I learning the lesson? Oh my God, did I miss it? What the fuck? I mean, excuse me, what's going on? Right? And so it's this just like really getting to learn the ways that God speaks to me, right? And getting to learn what love is, learn how love is showing up and how love is trying to teach us. What is love asking us to look at? What is love asking us to be with? What is God or love asking us to learn and relearn? What is love asking us to let go of? All of these questions, and these are things that we have to take that inner journey to explore and be like, are we holding on to an idea of love that is keeping us in hell and in fear? Are we holding on? Are we opening to an idea of love that liberates us and moves us forward and shows us like the beauty of what love could be and can be in all of the things that we desire in our hearts?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think I had the tendency to just, sometimes say something, do something, write something, and then I ask myself, oh my gosh, it's okay. Am I doing something bad? Will people hate me because I just said this? It's such a toxic way to live your life. And um, I realized like very recently actually that, hey, this is not me. This is not, I don't have to be this. I don't really know how to heal it yet, but help me God, because I'm over this. I can't. And yeah, I feel like gaining confidence in yourself step by step, it's such a good feeling as well. Um, and it reminds me of what Fabian said just at the end. I listened to a little bit of his conclusion, and it's like, even if you're not experiencing heaven in all your life yet, you're experiencing heaven right now, in a part of your consciousness. And so it's like, I really believe that. I was just thinking that before he said it, and I said like, okay, like I take all these experiences that show me heaven in my life, because they show me it's possible to be in heaven. They show me this my natural state, and they show me that I'm evolving, improving, and going into that state. And I take the feeling that I have, and I just, sample it and say that this is how it feels. And I aim to heal all of my reality so that everything is like that. And sometimes I don't even realize that I have fear, because like as a woman, my first, natural instinct is trying to avoid it. But when I do, it's like I now try to remember like, okay, what is the feeling? What is the feeling I'm aiming for? Like I could have peace in this place. Yeah, I remember like Dennis, a community member, said something like that when he was in a people one day. Like, what is it that I could have in this place? Like, I'm very upset, but I could have peace in this state. And then he said, like, the healing was easy. And so, yeah, it's, building a routine, a habit of doing your healing work and realizing that it doesn't have to be hard. And you don't have to feel bad. Also, that's one of the things that they said in the sermon.
Yes, that letting go of the guilt and the shame. And it's so important. So important. Because everywhere that I look back, I find myself finding the places where I'm like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have said that, or I should have not whatever, right? And it's really letting go of all of that and trusting that every step is perfect and every single moment offers an opportunity for a new choice into more love, and a new choice into, okay, well, that complete and total acceptance of, okay, I did that. I learned this. I learned that. And okay, now I want to do this. Now I want to go this direction. Now I want to be more loving. I want to embrace more loving. I want to recognize those places where I can look around and see joy and beauty in the tiniest thing, where I can look out the window and be like, God, that's gorgeous. Even if it's just the same yard that I see every day, but finding that beauty in everything. And I feel like that is part of experiencing heaven now, is recognizing the places that are healed, the places that do allow love into your life. And that's where heaven is. Heaven is in every place inside of us where we have already opened up to love. In every place that's not open yet is just a new adventure waiting to happen, and just a new place waiting to be bathed in that love that we're growing and that we are and that we're always evolving into.
Yeah, that's how Brian said. It's like cleaning your room and going to the lights and realizing that this was always there, just didn't see it, or it was underneath like a lot of things, because it's really truly there. Like it's really our natural state, our birthright. And I think like maybe reducing shaming guilt is also accepting yourself, your unique self. I think because all of the things I shamed myself about were related to I'm doing things different from others, and I'm wondering if that's bad. And like I remember one day I had a clear message from God, and it was like, child, let yourself live, let yourself breathe. You don't have to do that. And I said, you're right. Like, you created me perfect. And yeah, it allowed me to have compassion for myself and compassion for others, and so that we all have our unique process and our unique way to relate to life. And that's how we attain heaven, not by being like carbon copies of others, but just by being ourselves. And it's really that simple, even though it may seem like it takes time.
Yeah, and you know what? Something that just kind of came up for me was that energy of being taught to conform. And the more you embrace your uniqueness, the more you actually start to guilt yourself for not conforming. And I feel like that's kind of been part of the learning, is just bringing the compassion into those places and realizing that actually, if everything was the same, what would we be creating? How would we live? Life would not be the fun experience that it is. And because of our uniqueness, we do require the variety, and the variety does show us how to have a relationship with life. And so one of the things that Adam and Brianne shared that really stood out for me was also the energy of diligence. Like, the fact that you make the choice and you continue to reaffirm the choice. And then there's also the action step. Like, you cannot just make the choice. There is an action step, and it also came through in Christie's card reading in the sense that we sometimes only know the very next step. We don't know 2 steps ahead. We don't know 3 steps ahead. We might even just take the next step ahead and be redirected. but we would have only been redirected if we had taken that step. And I feel like that energy of follow through, the energy of action is kind of something that I've been healing through in terms of follow through with the choice, follow through with the love, follow through with the peace. And one of the things that Brianne and I worked on in one of my coaching sessions was that you can always be in your peace regardless of what is happening. You really can always be in your peace. And I think that's what you're speaking to, Jenny. You and Fabian were speaking to when you were sharing that we can have our heaven now. There's always a part of our consciousness that's already living in heaven. And so as we start to heal those places where we feel like we're probably not really living in heaven, it's just an invitation to the other parts of us to also start to make the choice to live in heaven, to go along, to come back in to the wholeness that we are. Like there's no part of us that's really actually separate. There's no separation within us. So yes, we say there are parts that can be in heaven now, but in all honesty, they're probably all in heaven now. We just need to remember that. We need to unlearn the fact that the uncomfortable appears to be something. It's like literally letting go of identifying with the upset. We are not our upset, but our upset does show us where we can purify our consciousness, which is perfect, because that's really what we're doing. We are working on purifying our consciousness so that we realize that heaven is not something on the outside, as Adam and Brianne shared. It's a state. It's who we naturally are. And so I feel like a lot of times when I heal, the end result is just this feeling of more naturalness, more presence. Like, like often the word comes, the feeling that comes is like, it just feels normal. and like sometimes I look at it and I'm like, okay, so it feels normal. What wasn't feeling normal before? And and I think that's the fun part about really healing, is that sometimes I don't remember what the upset was. I just know that I have the good feeling. And I know that the upset took me back into the place of the good feeling. So it was perfect to be there. And it didn't have to take up residence either.
I love that about not remembering what the upset was. And that's so true. And I feel like that speaks to this place, like what you're sharing when, that it's all in heaven, and the places that aren't aligned, that are misaligned, are the places where we're lying to ourselves and saying that, oh, we're afraid of this, or oh, we don't deserve this, or oh, we couldn't have this. And it's so cool how just bringing those back in. And yeah, I lost my train of thought there for a second, getting all in the feeling. It's that not remembering what the upset is not remembering the lies, because they've been brought in with the truth and with the love that's come in to replace that.
Yeah. I love it. I agree completely with what you both said. And I was going to say the exact same thing, like how Adam and Brian touched on the fact that sometimes we, how do I say this? We associate the ego, the upset, with ourselves, the feelings with ourselves. It's not true. And it was really powerful, this service, because I was working for my own things and meditating at the same time. And when they said that, I was like, oh my God, perfect union is actually possible with God. What? But it's not like I didn't know it. It's like now I know it. because I stopped relating to fear. There was a place in myself where there was like fear coming up constantly. And for a long time until maybe last week, it was like, oh, what do I do? How do I heal this? And I talked about it with my coach, and we realized, like, going through a process of healing, that sometimes I felt like a return to peace. I felt this sense of naturalness, as you said. And then there was a release part, like my body wanted to release some tension. And so it felt like my heart was tensing, but I couldn't place the upset. And it was because I was either attaching to fear or either I was in the process of releasing it. So either way, like when that shifted, I was like, okay, so it's really not that hard. It's really possible. I think before I felt like unconsciously that maybe God was too perfect, and I was not, and I couldn't attain that state.
I feel like what you shared is just like it's the perfect way into the next piece that stood out for me in the sermon in terms of what Adam and Brianne shared around accepting our divinity. And it's something that kind of stood out for me because in feeling into it, it's like, what does that really mean? Right? And so the feeling that I sat with was like, well, why wouldn't I just accept my divinity? And it's all those lies and illusions that we were all talking to, you know, in terms of things that we grew up with, things that we possibly experienced, things that we allowed to keep us almost contained in one state that's not our natural state of being. And so in kind of moving back into that space of, well, our divinity is something that's very core. It's one of those undeniable truths that we're working towards really grounding in. And I feel like that's been the journey, is just actually really truly accepting my divinity, even when there are other parts that are out of alignment. You know, it's like there's no separation in that space. If something feels out of alignment, it's a call to heal. It's drawing my attention to something that's out of alignment. But those things, even now, exist within us simultaneously. So therefore, that energy of separation can't really be there. You know, and it's kind of like, just like kind of flicking switches all the time as you start hearing these messages, and you really ground what is being shared, and it becomes such a resonant message. Like, it really resonates when you literally, like, when I just listen. It's just about that energy of listening and absorbing what is being shared and discerning where it's pointing me to. And even in all of that, I'm like all of these things all exist very simultaneously in us. So it's like, which direction do we pull ourselves in when we think that it doesn't? So that's kind of been that kind of been one of my big takeaways. It's just like all of it coexists. And so in that coexistence, there's a lot of power. And in that power, there's the opportunity to really be grounded and present. It's not something that I have to contain. It's that I'm able to anyway. You know, it's like this natural state of all of this is me. And to get to that it's so much more comfortable because I really have the shame and guilt. Like I look at it because actually, you know, there's a place that needs to be healed there, but I don't feel guilty that that thing existed anymore. Like in the past, it would have been, as you said, Jenny, in the past, it may have been one of those like, I should have, I could have, I would have, whatever. And now it's just like, let's look, let's see what it means. Let's heal through it. Let's integrate it. Let's move on.
Absolutely. There is really such power in embracing all of it. And by embracing it doesn't mean accepting the places that are unaligned. It means acknowledging them, accepting that that's not who you are, but that it's there and that it's coming up to be healed. And in that, it's such a, like you said, it's grounding, it's stable. It's that commitment to yourself to know that no matter what shows up that's out of alignment, I have the power to heal that. I have the power to choose differently. I have the power to create a new life for myself. I have the power to create more love for myself in that space. And that is very reassuring. And that builds more stability upon stability. It builds on that foundation, that bedrock of divinity. And then you feel safe no matter what comes up, and feel safe no matter what I feel. I feel safe in expressing what I feel, and I feel safe in being who I am. And I feel safe in learning what that is in places that I haven't discovered yet. And yeah, just accepting all of me, loving all of me, even the places that aren't healed yet. And knowing that it's a journey to that and that we're never alone. We're never alone in it. And then it can all be beautiful. And now it can all be beautiful, right? It's not a then, it's now. And I don't know, it's just always in awe, this journey. Like love is amazing.
Amen. Yeah, it's so beautiful what you shared. Yeah, how divine we are and accepting and loving all of its parts that coexist, even the parts that are not healed yet. Either way, you are going to have to love them to transcend them. So yeah, might as well love them. And yeah, I love it as well the fact that as we go, as we heal and see like that we are divine more and more every day, we experience more God. And yesterday, like I was preparing for bed, I was like, you're way more complex than I thought, you know, as a being. And it's like I had, you know, this still, even though I've been like not in a church in years, I had this Catholic vision of only in the temple, only talking about a few things, only seeing the masculine side of God. And I'm still uncovering God, and I'm in uncovering God, I uncover myself because like obviously the response that I had was like, well, who created you and your mind and science and analytics and and everything that you experience in life. So yeah, it's safe to relax into again like our own unique self and seeing how we are divine and how it's all part of God, all a part of the journey. Yeah, a path back to love, back home. And also basically the thing that has been coming up throughout our discussion is that the path to heaven is also endurable. Like, I think it would be very drab and weary to have like a sad part, a sad path to heaven, and then you get to experience all the joy at once. No, you get like little snippets, like you build on that bedrock of stability, as you said. And yeah, all of it is just so heavenly. How else can we say? Like definitely heavenly and beautiful.
Yeah, and then it's the following the good feeling. It's following that divinity, following those threads of love that guide you into that feeling in your heart that shows you, okay, this is the next step. This is the next piece. Wherever it leads, wherever it doesn't lead, it's always bringing us into more love. It's always bringing us into more awareness of ourselves, more love, more confidence in ourselves, that we're able to recognize and follow God, that we're able to follow love, that we're able to embrace love, to conquer the fears, let go of the guilt and shames. And in the process, experience more heaven now because of that simple fact that we're doing it.
I love that, just that the simplicity of we're doing it, it's like simple and it's final and it's like, you can't argue with this. We're doing it, I like that.
Love can be very simple. This journey can be very simple at times. We don't have to overcomplicate it. And if we do, that's fine too. It can all be moved through. There's nothing that can't be healed. There's nothing that can't be addressed, and nothing that can't be loved.
Mm-hmm. But you can definitely choose for it to be easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's nice. And
sorry, and just another thing that also just stood out for me with Adam was like, I can just like see him having this conversation with himself. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. And I have these moments. I have these moments. I'm like, hey, we're not doing that. Like, what? Why? We're not doing that.
Yes, exactly. It's like, nope, we're not going down that little vein of fear. We're not going down that little vein of no to love. We're not going down that little place of, oh, let me get caught up in this or that or the other. Like really just saying no, putting up that boundary, putting up that, it's like putting up that little wall of love to the lies, that wall of love to the fears. And in that, they just disintegrate.
The nice thing about it is that there is no wall required. Because that energy, like that energy of love is just so pervasive that the delusion or illusion kind of it dissolves. Mm-hmm. It has to dissolve in the face of love. So it like even to just look into it, it's like, nah, it just dissolves. There's no wall required.
I know. I guess maybe I should say it when you beam it with that Care Bear stare of love, it disintegrates. No walls, just the beam of love.
Yep.
I used to have a little bit more drastic methods, like, no, piss off. I'm done with you. So even where it works. No, but I think like what you were trying to say, I think is like going back to the sermon, is that ego will always try to like persuade you to choose ego, obviously, until you're completely healed in that state, so in that place. So yeah, it's definitely good to learn how to say no, and to really, really, really understand that you're not saying no to yourself, you're saying no to an illusion. Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of the Black Panther meme where the guy's bowing and the king says to him, "We don't do that here." And like sometimes I do. I have these moments of like, no, we don't do that here.
And it just feels so joyful to be able to say that, right? To be able to say no to the fears and say no to the insecurities, the lies, to be able to say no to everything that presents that is not love and that is not loving feels really good. You know, it brings more joy into the process, more joy into the journey, into the unfolding, into the every moment.
I want to talk about it's something that Granville mentioned at the very beginning, but it's the action steps that you have to take when you choose love. And I used to get stumped at that point too, because yeah, I guess we fear of failure that we're talking about, and perfectionism, and I think a lot of people relate to that. And I know it's a very basic tip, but like there's just like feel a good feeling, like what you want to do, what you desire to do, and just start with little things, very little steps, until you build into something great. Like it always starts with like little things. Like if you see like the big mountains, for example, if you see the Kilimanjaro before you and you say, "Oh, I'm never gonna be at the top," and you're at ground zero, obviously you're not in a good shape to climb that mountain. But if you're just taking that little step, I think in the region they have that saying that say pulley pulley, like step by step, take it slow. If you take just like a little step, you will get there eventually. Like and on the journey, you take care of yourself, you rest, you let your guide do its job, and take care of you as well, because he knows what he's doing, basically. In that metaphor, this is God. And it like, in the 7 to 8 days you're there at the top of that mountain, and you will have felt so many things along the way, but like you will have that feeling of pride that you got there, and gratitude that you listened to your guide, that you took that first step, that you chose to do all of these things for yourself, like eating and resting, and having warm clothes and taking care of your body. And so I like this like mental image of like just taking a little step at the beginning of the mountain. And yeah, I think choosing love is way easier when you build that momentum of I'm doing the little things, and then I get there.
Yeah, taking care of ourselves every step of the way, letting the guide, letting God guide. I love the analogy. I love the metaphor. And all the support that's here, you know, that we never have to do it alone. We've always got God, and we've always got each other supporting each other along the way. Like there's always someone to turn to when you need that support.
That's the beauty of it too. And being in a community that fast tracks with you makes the ride like all the more easier. And it's so beautiful to have that. And I'm really happy that Adam and Brian reminded us that it's you do this with people, like we're building heaven on earth. It's not just I'm doing it, it's like we're doing it. And I'm realizing that it was like all these little nuggets during the service from the song, like there's no them and us. It's we are one. It's we. And yeah, all these things like the support and love that you feel connecting with the people here and in that sermon and that conclusion. It's like, yeah, I'm not alone. I'm definitely not alone because praise God, but like my journey is made easier because like others are doing it with me and they're right by my side, and it doesn't like no one can climb the mountain for you. Obviously, like you can climb on the back of someone to go to the top because it's gonna be difficult. But yeah, it's way easier to do it that way.
Yeah, we get to climb the mountains together. And it never fails. Every time I'm moving through something, somebody shows up that's moving through the same thing. And we get to move through it together, help each other in our own unique experiences. But at the heart of it, it's the same. It's the same upsets. It's the same core blocks that we're moving through, and getting perspectives from each other's unique journeys really helps to address it from a bunch of different angles to really get to the core of it and release it. And then we all grow together.
And isn't that the beauty of it? Like we're building heaven on earth here, right here. And so God is gonna do everything in his power to make that happen. And obviously healing us as a one student and having the guidance of Jeff and Shaleia is heaven sent. Like what else could it be? It's just like not something that you can orchestrate, that you can plan. It's just God.
It's all God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to ask Bill, what are you feeling?
No, I was just gonna say that feels like that feels really, for me it feels quite complete. But like I love how the two of you have just kind of brought it all together in those last few comments, and like that just kind of felt like a solid place to just say, hey, I feel good and complete here today.
Okay.
I agree. All right then. It was a very good discussion. Thank you. Thank you to Jenny and Grenville for being here with me. Thank you to everyone who has watched us live and everyone who's watching us from YouTube. If you are from YouTube and you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more of our Sunday services and after church tea times and other discussions. We have these weekly. So yeah, feel free to subscribe and follow us. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Namaste.